Are we are we live? Wait, wait. John Boyega coming back to Star Wars? I thought wait. And he says The Last Jedi is the worst of the Star Wars movies? I mean, is he wrong? Is he wrong? What's up, guys? It's Mike, a guy who loves Star Wars. We got a lot to talk about today. John Boyega now talking about possibly coming back to Star Wars, also saying that The Last Jedi was the worst of the movies he was in. We're going to talk about all of it. It's kind of weird, kind of strange that he would come out and say something like this, but he is talking a whole lot about a possibility of coming back to Star Wars. Now, this is coming when a lot is up for grabs when it comes to Star Wars, especially with the company of Disney flailing around with the actors' strike, the writer's strike. We have no idea what the future holds for the company of Disney, for the company of Lucasfilm, and for the future of Star Wars. However, there are 3 movies that were just announced just a few months ago at Star Wars Celebration, the first of which being the Rey movie. Now, we don't know if that Rey movie will, in fact, include Finn. John Boyega as Finn, but we can assume that not many people are going to go watch it if he isn't there, and I know many of you have very strong opinions on this, but we're going to talk about all of it. I got a bunch of articles to get into, and I got a bunch that we can go over, but first, let's start off with a poll that says, do you want Finn in, let's put it differently. John Boyega. Boyega. It's hard to spell his name, okay? Back in Star Wars. Question mark. Yes or no? You tell me. John Boyega back? Yes or no? The guy, what's up? The guy says, do you want anything from Taco Bell? Taco Bell? No, I'm good. I'm good, thanks. Taco Bell does not, that just causes for problems later down the line, you know? By problems, I mean the toilet. Okay, let's let's see where we're at here. Let's read this first article right away, talking about what John Boyega actually said about The Last Jedi, because people are kind of pushing this out of proportion, saying that he was crapping all over The Last Jedi. He didn't. He said it with the utmost respect, and we're going to talk about what he actually said and go into specific detail and quotes, of course, from the man himself. So let's pull this up right here. This is coming from The Direct, and let's talk about this first. Boom. Wait. Boom. Okay. Star Wars actor admits the worst movie in the Disney trilogy. So you guys tell me in the chat, first of all, what is your least favorite movie of the sequels, or just your least favorite Star Wars movie in general, and why? Because I posted a post on the community tab of the channel, and we'll go over that as well, on what you guys thought was the worst movie. I said, is The Last Jedi the worst movie? And a lot of you kind of had differing opinions. Now, nobody said the original trilogy. Nobody said a single movie from that. Nobody really talked about the prequels all that much. Most of the worst movies were either The Last Jedi or The Rise of Skywalker. So I'm very interested to see what you guys think about this, what your least favorite movie is. But let's talk about which is John's. So, Star Wars star John Boyega revealed which of the Disney's sequel trilogy he considers to be the worst of the whole bunch. Now, people are, again, really twisting and turning his words to say that he said that The Last Jedi sucked, or The Last Jedi is terrible, or blah, blah, blah. But he didn't say any of that, and we're going to talk about what he actually did say. So, the Finn actor has not been seen or heard from within the Star Wars universe since the release of Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker in 2019. So 4 years ago. Really, Star Wars fans haven't heard much of anything from John Boyega. He kind of seems to be done with Star Wars, or at least up until today. He's been vocal about his time working within the franchise. Boyega has not been too kind about his time working on Star Wars, previously commenting, "At this point, I'm cool off it. I'm good off it," meaning he's done with Star Wars. And that a return to his Star Wars character was not likely in the cards. However, many people didn't think Daisy Ridley would come back to play Rey, and we just got an announcement that there will be a Rey movie. Now, regardless of how you feel about the Rey movie, if you're excited for it, if you're really pissed off about it, or whatever you feel, I think regardless of how people think about the Rey movie, Finn being added to that cast is only good news. So, that tune has changed, however. So before he was like, I'm done with Star Wars, blah, blah, blah. However, that has changed, as the actor recently teased that he would be open to returning should the right story and script find his way to him. Now, we're going to talk about that in a little bit here. We have articles about that as well. And that within itself is kind of cool, whether or not he'll show up in a Disney Plus show, because before he said, you can't Disney Plus me. We'll see how that goes. But whether or not he shows up in a Disney Plus show, or if he just gets held off till the Rey movie. But we're going to talk about why he said that The Last Jedi was his least favorite movie. So here we go. In an interview, John Boyega, who plays Finn in Star Wars sequel trilogy, admits he thinks Episode 8, The Last Jedi, is the worst of the Disney Star Wars trilogy. Speaking on First We Feast, Hot One's YouTube show, so this is like where they eat hot wings, and they get hotter and hotter and hotter as the interview goes on, and the whole time he's getting interviewed while they're eating hot wings. It's a pretty funny premise. It's a pretty funny show. There's some pretty funny bits through it. Like, I think Shaq's one is pretty funny. Who else is on there that was good? Who's the chef dude? I'm completely blanking on his name, but he was good too. I haven't seen the John Boyega one himself except for just the clips of this. So, Boyega was tasked with ranking the 3 Star Wars movies he appeared in, to which the actor's response was, the worst, in the most respectful sense, is Episode 8. So here's what he said. Ranking the 3 Star Wars films you were in from best to worst. So that's what he was asked. Hell yeah, I'll do it. Star Wars The Force Awakens is most definitely the best. Most definitely the best, in his words. Not even close. Second for me comes Episode 9, and then worst in the most respectful sense, Episode 8. But they are all lovely. Again, it's not him saying these movies suck. It's not him saying The Last Jedi is the worst movie ever, blah, 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 blah. He's saying in the most respectful sense, Episode 8 is the worst. But they are all very lovely. Now, his tone does kind of change here in the next few quotes. But what do we think about that so far? He's keeping it clean. He's keeping it PC. You know, he's trying to get his job back in the Star Wars galaxy, to say the least. Derpy Entertainment, what's up, Derpy? Says, the real fans won. I mean, what is your least favorite Star Wars character? That's my, I mean, not character, least favorite Star Wars movie. What's your least favorite Star Wars movie? Honey Badger says, bring John back. I need more Finn. I would definitely not be opposed to more Finn. I think Finn was a underutilized character in the sequel trilogy. Should have been a Force sensitive. Should have trained with Luke as well. Should have done all this other stuff, but it didn't happen. A turned stormtrooper is a great idea, and in The Force Awakens, he's set up for a very cool story arc. Picking up the lightsaber, just his whole backstory. Being a stormtrooper is rivalry. That's the word I was looking for. Rivalry with Captain Phasma was very, very cool. And of course, The Last Jedi kind of took all that and said, ha, 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 no. So Finn kind of got discarded and really just trampled on throughout the sequel trilogy. So I think more Finn, the better, especially in a post-sequel world in the Rey movie or any other project further down the line. I honestly wouldn't be opposed to just a Finn spin-off show on Disney Plus. If they give it the budget and they give it the time, just make Rey go do something else, or maybe she could be even involved in the show in some way. Have Finn actually go through a journey within the Force, maybe some sort of journey like Yoda did in season 6 of the Clone Wars, where he actually goes and finds his way through the Force. Something along those lines would be very, very cool. Lou the Goat says, 8 was the worst. 2 words, Casino Planet. Yeah, so the Casino Planet was a disaster. I'm sure many of you will agree with me on that. When Rose Tico and Finn go to find the master code breaker, whatever, that was ridiculous. Broom Boy, all that stuff was just redonkulous. What was the name of the Casino Planet? some of the sequel stuff just leaves my head because it's the least watched movies for me, at least like when I go to rewatch Star Wars movies, sequels are always last on the list. So I Canto Bite. See, a steel trap right there. Honey Badger says Episode 8 is the worst Star Wars movie ever. I think a lot of people would agree with you. I think Episode 9 gets a lot of hate as well, just because of the fact that Episode 8, sure, it completely divided the Star Wars fandom. It did all this crazy stuff. It made Luke look like a stupid idiot, and it made a lot of jokes about the Star Wars galaxy. But Episode 9 kind of falls off because it tries to fix all those issues in Episode 8. Bringing back Palpatine was not loved by many fans. Just the way it ended with just Rey being a Skywalker, not a lot of people liked that either. So Episode 9 does leave a sour taste in a lot of fans' mouths as well. And we'll go to the poll that I put on the community tab, and a lot of people said, no, Episode 9 is the worst. Lou the Goat says, 9 also sucks. Horses and breathing in the vacuum of space. Oh, the horses on the casino planet in The Last Jedi. Yes, those horses were very stupid. And breathing in the vacuum of space, of course, Leia was not going to die in that stupid way. Fast forward to Episode 9 where she dies in another stupid way. Yeah, it's a disaster. It's a disaster, but let's keep reading what Finn says, because as of what John Boyega says, because as of right now, that article, it seems pretty light. He was talking with the utmost respect. He was talking about how they're all lovely. He's not crapping on anything. However, it does get a little bit more heated here. This is not the first time Boyega has demonstrated his dislike for the film. He previously told Hype Beast that The Last Jedi sidetracked his character and the arc that he'd started in The Force Awakens. He called the film a bit iffy, revealing that he didn't necessarily agree with all the choices in that movie. So this is, of course, just a fact. He previously told Hyperbeast that The Last Jedi sidetracked his character and the arc that he had started in The Force Awakens. That right there. The Last Jedi sidetracked his character's arc from The Force Awakens. That is the understatement of the century right there, because obviously that's exactly what happened. I mean, Finn is set up in The Force Awakens to be one of the best characters of the whole trilogy. Rey has a pretty good start too, being just the scavenger on a desert planet. We don't know what happened with her parents. We don't know who she is. She's very strong with the Force. But Finn is right there with her, being a turned stormtrooper, actually picking up Anakin's lightsaber and fighting with it, being just having this whole kind of don't want to be in the fight anymore, knows how bad the First Order really is. This whole arc in that Force Awakens kind of gets thrown out in The Last Jedi. So he's upset about that. So here's what he says in the previously told Hype Beast. The Force Awakens, I think, was the beginning of something quite solid. The Last Jedi, if I'm being honest, I'd say was a bit iffy for me. And a bit iffy in Hollywood terms, when an actor is talking about a project that he was in, is crapping all over it. I didn't necessarily agree with a lot of the choices that in that, and that's something that spoke to Mark Hamill a lot about, and we had conversations about it. And it was just hard for all of us because we were separated. Now, he's talking about them being separated in the movie. Of course, Finn and Rose go do their own thing on the casino planet, while Rey and Luke are training on the other planet, and then Rey even leaves Luke, and Luke is all alone again, and it's all just separate in doing their own thing. Poe and Leia are doing their own thing, while Kylo is doing his own thing with Snoke. It's very spread out, and the stories don't really collide all that much. And that's a great point by John, and he says it in a pretty nicely way, but saying that The Last Jedi was honestly a bit iffy is pretty big talk for somebody who was in the movie and wants to be in the movies a lot longer. So, one of the things that Boyega thinks The Last Jedi should have included was more focus on the stormtroopers of the universe and less on fleshing out some of the legacy characters. So here's what he says. I always have on some level of nostalgia for The Force Awakens. To a certain extent, there should have been a stormtrooper rebellion. and then a flesh out of Luke's character a bit more, giving him more moments of redemption, which I feel like was needed after episode 8, The Last Jedi. I feel like Star Wars fans needed more time with those old characters that we love so much. So that I don't know what they're saying. Less time fleshing out these legacy characters is wrong. So he thinks they needed more characters, more time with the old characters, and I completely agree with him on this. The sequel trilogy, the only time you really spend with the legacy characters of the OG trilogy with Luke, Leia, and Han is when they die. Han really has very few scenes that are meaningful in the first movie, and then he dies. Luke Skywalker barely trains Rey through the Last Jedi, and then just dies. He's not even really in the Force Awakens except for a cliffhanger ending. And then Leia, of course, due to other foreseen circumstances of Carrie Fisher passing away and all that other sad stuff, but she didn't really play the biggest part in the Rise of Skywalker or even The Last Jedi or even The Force Awakens, and then she just dies. So they didn't use the legacy characters to the way that they should have. They should have been main characters, just alongside of Rey, Finn, and Kylo, should have been the main characters of this trilogy. The same way that Obi-Wan, who's a main character in the original trilogy, is a main character in the prequel trilogy. Anakin is Darth Vader in the original trilogy, is a main character in the prequel trilogy. These characters are going on a journey as well. The story of these legacy characters in the sequel trilogy sucks. It's so bad. When you really just think about those three characters and their story arc, Leia and Han, for some reason, got divorced off screen. Sure, whatever. Han is back to doing his whole thing before the original trilogy, so he's pretty much just digressed, and his whole story arc in the original trilogy is just gone. And then he dies. Then Luke completely cuts himself off from the Force. He's a completely different person. He's a shell of himself from the person we saw in the original trilogy. Again, taking the whole arc that he had in the original trilogy and throwing it away. And then he just dies. And then Leia really goes on zero arc at all in the sequel trilogy. Again, due to some other unforeseen errors or circumstances with, of course, Leia passing away, Carrie Fisher passing away. And she just dies. So not focusing on these characters nearly enough and trying to elevate these other characters to an extreme extent where we see, at least with Rey, and not Finn at all. But I gotta agree with him. They should have done some sort of Stormtrooper rebellion because Finn was the first of what should have been many. They should have fleshed out Luke's character a lot more, giving him more moments of redemption. Yeah. And they should have fleshed out these older characters more. So, what does John have beef with Star Wars? Well, obviously, what we just talked about. Finn got screwed in those movies. And it doesn't take a genius to notice that. He got screwed. But what do we think? Luke the Goat says, 9, the final battle when they're riding the horses on top of the Star Destroyer in space. Yeah. The whole fight on Exegol, although it was kind of cool, they're riding horses on a Star Destroyer. Why? Like, what's the point at that point? Derpy Entertainment says, my ranking least to favorite, 11. The Last Jedi. Oh, The Last Jedi is the worst. Rise of Skywalker, then Solo, then Attack of the Clones, then The Force Awakens, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I get you. Yeah, Last Jedi is most likely at the bottom of almost everybody's list. If not, it's The Rise of Skywalker. So there you go, Disney. Two of your three trilogy movies are garbage. Absolutely the bottom of the list for almost every Star Wars fan there is. It's not good. Shades, what's up? What's up? It is not good. It's really not. And it's a bummer to think of that, too, because the sequel trilogy could have had so much potential. And The Force Awakens is not usually at the bottom, or at least the bottom two, of anybody's list. Most people like The Force Awakens. Now, many people say that it's a carbon copy of A New Hope, and it does have a lot of similarities with A New Hope, but it still sets up all of those characters in that movie in a very good way. It's what the next two movies do to those characters that really screws the whole thing up. Now, let's talk about Finn. Actually, wait, no, we have one more article to talk about him talking about The Last Jedi being the worst ever. So let's talk about this article first. So this is coming from Verity. Wait, what? Yes, I was right the first time. Okay. So John Boyega ranks The Last Jedi as his worst, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So this is a little bit different. So John Boyega was asked by Hot Ones to rank the films of the Star Wars trilogy, which kicked off on a high note in 2015 with the beloved Star Wars The Force Awakens. We then got the polarizing 2017 Last Jedi and 2019's Rise of Skywalker. Star Wars The Force Awakens is most definitely the best. So yeah, we saw what he said here. So Boyega cracks a smile and gives some side eye, alluding to the fact that many Star Wars fans already know Boyega's grievances with the space franchise. He notably told GQ magazine in 2020 when he said, "What I would say to Disney is do not bring out a black character, marketing them to be much more important in the franchise than they are, and then have them push it to the side. It's not good. I'll say it straight up. You guys knew what to do with Daisy Ridley. You knew what to do with Adam Driver," Boyega continues at the time. But when it came to Kelly Marie Tran, which is Rose Tico's character, when it came to John Boyega, you know, fuck all. You know, fuck all? Is that? I forgot he's British. So what do you want to say? So what do you want me to say? What they want you to say is, I enjoyed being a part of it. It was a great experience. Nah. I'll take that deal when it's a great experience. They gave all the nuance to Adam Driver, all the nuance to Daisy Ridley. Let's be honest, Daisy knows this, Adam knows this, everyone knows this. I'm not exposing anything. So this was back in 2020. This was when Adam Driver went on a crazy heater. And since then, 3 years, he's talked nothing about Star Wars. Literally not a peep. And now he's back saying that, of course, The Last Jedi is the least favorite of his movies, but he is talking about a possible return as well. But what he's saying here is not wrong. They hyped up Finn to be this main character, probably the main lead of the movie, in the trailer for The Force Awakens, in even the trailers and advertisements for The Force Awakens. However, he's not the main character, and he kind of gets pushed to the side almost the entire trilogy. And he even goes in to talk about Rose Tico's character as well, where she gets pushed aside too. So Boyega became the rare studio employed actor to publicly criticize his own franchise, and he's glad he spoke out. I'm surprised actors haven't said anything, Boyega recently told Esquire magazine, because that's what creates the whole taboo of it's all. I'm just glad now that I'm just glad that now the conversations are being had on a mass level, so it doesn't feel like one actor is just rebelling against the system. Yes, so when John Boyega came out and talked badly about the studio and about his experience with Star Wars, many other people came out to talk about it. I mean, the girl who played Rose also talked about it. Many people, not just Star Wars specifically, other people came and talked about how their poor experiences were with other franchises. So he kind of was the first to actually say, hold up, they shouldn't treat my character like this. And other people kind of came out and said the same thing. And the best part of all of it is Disney had to take it and just deal with it, because he's not wrong. So here's what he follows up and says. Once you make certain statements, everybody knows where you stand, so people don't approach you trying to play the game, Boyega added. Since then, I've worked with Netflix, I've worked with Sony, and other studios, and they are very much aware of how I am, how I operate, and they found that they can still do their job. When you're the one actor saying it, it becomes, oh my God, but I'm glad now. So he, of course, at the time was like, I probably shouldn't have said that, and now he's still getting jobs. He's still getting these big studios like Netflix and Sony to still work with him. So he's not really seeing any backfire from what he said, because what he said was just the truth. So, yeah. Whatever criticisms John Boyega has made about Star Wars, they have never stopped the actor from loving the space franchise. He told Total Film magazine earlier this year that he remains a massive massive Star Wars fan. He still loves the franchise. He was that guy. He was an actor, he was a fan, and he got to be a part of the franchise, and he was psyched about it. And then they kind of did him dirty, so he talked about it. But he still is a massive fan of Star Wars. There still is the first 6 movies that he's a huge fan of, and he would love to come back and play the role. So this is what he says. I still am in love with it. I bloody love it, the actor says because he's British, but it's almost nicer not having to be in it and not having to deal with that. It's weird. You just go back to being a fan again, and you see yourself in the games. So, of course, he's played the games. Of course, he's thought of himself in the roles, but he's not a part of it. He's now gets to be a fan again. So here's what the video looks like here. So this, I think, was, what is John Boyega's least favorite Star Wars? Yeah, so here's the interview.
Hi, I'm John Boyega, and I have 2 options: tell the truth or suffer the wrath of the Last Jedi. This is truth or dab rapid fire. Let's do this. Declo Tyrone involves a vast underground conspiracy.
Oh, wait. Let's find the actual part of the video that we want here. Oh, here we go. Rank the 3 movies. Boom.
3 Star Wars films you were in from best to worst. Hell yeah, I do it. Star Wars The Force Awakens is most definitely the best. Second for me comes Star Wars 9. And then the worst, in the most respectful sense, is Episode 8 for me. But they're all lovely.
There you go. There you go. He is trying to be as nice as possible. He goes, oh, The Force Awakens easily best. Then Episode 9. Then Episode 8. But they're all lovely, right? Well, let's watch. Whoop, 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 whoop.
Hell yeah, I do it.
He's like excited to talk about it.
Is most definitely the best. Second for me comes Star Wars 9, and then the worst, in the most respectful sense, is Episode 8 for me. But they're all lovely.
And there you go. John Boyega, ladies and gentlemen. The guy's the best. I love this guy so much. I wish they didn't do him dirty in Star Wars, of course. I wanted Finn's character to be a lot better. But John Boyega as a guy, as just a human being, is like the chillest dude ever. He's literally just a fan. He's just a fanboy all the time. He's been in some other projects, like for Netflix and Sony, like he talked about. I haven't seen any of those movies, honestly. I haven't seen him in anything else. Nothing really has caught my eye. But it is interesting to see that he's still open to coming back to Star Wars. Now, let's talk about that. First of all, Shade says, difference is Rose's character was inherently hated, and he wasn't. That's true. Finn didn't get the hate. John Boyega could say the things that he did because people liked his character. They just know that he was written in a very poor way, and it wasn't his fault at all. It wasn't his fault at all. And fans knew that, which is good. I know, the hate for Rose was kind of crazy. It was extreme to an extent. I don't think she deserved all that hate. The character of Rose annoys the shit out of me. I don't like her character one bit, but that doesn't mean we hate the actress by all means. I think Kelly's probably a nice lady as well. I don't know much of anything else that she's been in, but I think if Finn comes back, he'll be welcomed with open arms. Probably welcomed even more than Rey is. So I think the fandom would love to see John Boyega come back. But tell me, I mean, do you guys think John Boyega should come back? But maybe I'm way off here. Maybe I'm way off. But let's read about what John Boyega says about a possible return to Star Wars. Now this is exciting. John Boyega changed his tune about a Star Wars return. So we just talked about how he was like, yeah, nope, they ain't. I'm not coming back to that. That was ridiculous. But he changes his tune. So, Star Wars actor John Boyega, who portrayed Finn in the sequel trilogy, apparently changed his outlook on the potential to returning to the franchise. So, this is probably because he's had many meetings with Disney, and they're like, we're sorry, John, we didn't mean it. We're John, please, no, John. And they probably offered him a lot of money, like a lot of money, and money talks. That's if anybody thinks that money can't get an actor to do something he doesn't want to do, wait till you're offered millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. John Boyega, I'm sure, was offered this massive check, and good for him. Honestly, great. give me Finn back and give John a giant paycheck. As the 3 films of the sequel trilogy were being released, actor John Boyega was the unfortunate target of some fans, which led to him receiving unnecessary hate, verbal abuse, and even threats. These actions were radically motivated by the so-called fans, and that experience, along with the underrepresentation of Boyega and other non-white actors on screen during the film, ultimately led to Boyega expressing no interest in returning to the franchise. So yeah, these fans, so-called, the people who crap all over people, the people who do this stupid stuff, they're not fans. They're just not. The people who crapped on Jar Jar Binks, the people who crapped on Rose Tico, the people who crapped on Finn, the actors like Ahmed Best, Kelly, Marie Trans, and John Boyega, those people aren't fans. Those people are haters. They crap on actors for just the way that they portrayed a role that they were given. Like, it's not their fault for being written so terribly. Like, this is ridiculous. So, in an interview with Tech Radar, Star Wars actor John Boyega expressed that he would ultimately make a return to the Star Wars universe sometime in the future under the right conditions. So, the actor came right out and said he would be open to reprising his role as Finn, especially if the character and scripts are enjoyable. So here's what he says. Those comments a few years ago, so they were the subject of that particular project, but I'm open to all characters and scripts that are enjoyable, have a great cast attached, and a terrific director. So yeah, I'm open to all opportunities. He was talking a few years ago about The Last Jedi and about Episode 9 and about the misrepresentation, how they did him dirty as Finn in those movies. But that doesn't mean he's not open to coming back. That doesn't mean he's not open to future projects if the director's right, if the writer's right, if it's all right and he feels like it's a good story, if he feels like he should come back to play the character, then yeah, he'll come back. But first of all, you have to give him the right script. You have to give him the right story and not screw him over again, because he's not dealing with that. He's not dealing with that again. And I don't blame him at all. And Austin, don't ever be sorry for being late. Welcome to the party. Wah, wah, wah. Much better. Much better. Okay, let's read on. It seems as though Boyega has changed his mind regarding the franchise and specifically coming back to reprise the role. The last time the actor made a statement on the topic was in August of 2022, when he stated that Finn is at a good confirmation point in regards to the films, and that the sequel trilogy was enough for him. There were also other instances where Boyega straight up said that he would not be returning to the franchise. The comments that Boyega referred to in the most recent interview are from past sit-downs and instances where the actor opened up about the unfortunate negative experiences working on the sequel trilogy. Yeah, we talked about this. So yeah. Well, actually, we didn't talk about this. Let's read this a little bit. This is what he had to deal with. In September of 2020, Boyega specifically talked about being racially attacked by some members of the Star Wars fan base. Again, these people are ridiculous. They honestly they're hiding behind a screen and think that it's okay. The actor even admitted he received death threats due to his race, and how people publicly said that they would boycott the movie due to Boyega's involvement. These people are absolutely insane. The fact that these people even are considered Star Wars fans, or even called Star Wars fans, or even involved in the Star Wars fan base is just bad. Like, we don't think of them as fans at all. We don't think that they should be considered fans. They don't exist. In my own mind, and I'm sure many of you guys don't actually see these people as Star Wars fans, because they aren't. These people are ridiculous. They're just not fans. They aren't. These are stupid people online who think that they can hide behind a freaking user screen. So this is what he says. Nobody else in the cast had people saying that they were going to boycott the movie because they were in it. Nobody else had an uproar of death threats sent to their Instagram DMs and social media saying, black this, black that, and you shouldn't be a stormtrooper. Nobody else had the experiences. But yet, people are surprised that I'm this way, that I'm frustrated. So he's trying to explain, of course, that his frustrations they're perfectly valid. Like, what he had to deal with through those 6 years and beyond, through the sequel trilogy of just hate from these fake fans, these people who DM him in his Instagram DM saying they're boycotting the movie because he's in it, is just ridiculous. So obviously having to deal with that is going to, in turn, make him not want to come back to Star Wars. And to make matters worse is those movies, the producers of the movies, the directors, the writers, cast his character to the side. So not only was he getting these death threats and these craziness from the fandom, from these crazy people who were just shouting louder than the people who actually loved his character, the writers and the producers were giving him a terrible character. So yeah, I don't blame him for wanting to take 4, 5, 6, 7 years off from Star Wars. But now he's kind of dealt with all of it. He's come to the conclusion that he's still a Star Wars fan. And if the right script comes up, if the right actual story for his character comes up, then yes, he would gladly come back and do it. So, in the same interview, Boyega also referenced how his character in the sequel trilogy was sidelined after being such an important character in The Force Awakens. I'm the only cast member who had their own unique experience in the fan base of that franchise based on their race. I was just completely combining those words for some reason. Let's just leave it at that. It makes you angry with a process like that. It makes you more, much more malicious. It changes you because you realize I've got given this opportunity, but I'm in an industry that wasn't ready for me. So in a way, John thinks, sure, his character was extremely important to the Star Wars galaxy, but it doesn't seem like people were ready for him, you know? So what project could John Boyega return in? So here, of course, the Rey movie, but let's talk about it. There are plenty of upcoming Star Wars projects on the horizon, but none have a potential to include Finn as much as the Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy directed film that will be starring Daisy Ridley. Boyega and Ridley obviously shared the screen for quite a bit in the sequel trilogy. Their characters formed a close relationship crossing the 3 movies. I mean, Finn is almost consistently screaming Rey at the top of his lungs, so yeah, I think they would be considered friends. So that seems like the most likely place for Boyega to make a comeback. Some rumors claim that Boyega is already set to return, and that it hasn't been announced by Lucasfilm yet. And based on Boyega's latest comments, that could be true. The film in discussion will take place 15 years after The Rise of Skywalker, and seeing as how Finn and Rey are both made it through the end of that film on good terms, it would make sense for the two characters to still be in contact. Well, obviously. Now, how big of a role Finn could play in that movie, it still remains to be seen. Whether or not he'll even be in the movie still remains to be seen. But what do you guys think? First of all, do you think John Boyega is coming back to play Finn? And if so, where and when? And do you think it will be the Rey movie? Do you think the Rey movie is still going to even happen? And if that is the case, he says if the script is right, if the director is right. First of all, the script hasn't been written yet. And the director's Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, so I don't think he's coming back to this movie. At least as of right now, he has zero intention of coming back. I don't think he's under contract. I don't think he's already signed anything. No, I don't think it's coming. I don't think it's happening. But what do you guys think? Austin Snow says, sorry for being late. Don't worry about it at all, Austin. Just happy you're here. Happy you're here. Saga Like Us says, as a fan who didn't like any sequels, it makes no sense how the actors were attacked by idiots. As a fan, I always directed my disdain towards Kathleen Kennedy, Bob Iger, J.J. Abrams, and Rian Johnson. Well, yeah, because you're smart. There's a lot of dumb people out there. I know. It might come to a surprise to you guys, but there are. And those people, for some reason, thought it was all John Boyega's fault or all Kelly Marie Tran's fault that their characters were written so poorly, that their characters were portrayed the way that they were. Because some people are really, really dumb. Swagger Like Us follows up and says, I recall John Boyega getting flack for being a black stormtrooper. That's insane. Then the people peddling these idiotic statements hide behind their online avatars like cowards. Yeah, it's true. He got a lot of hate through those sequel years. It's a lot like Ahmed Best played Jar Jar in the prequel trilogy. He got a lot of crap for it. So just because his character was annoying, just because he was, again, another black actor who was playing a character in Star Wars, they get a lot of hate because these fans are stupid and dumb and stupid, but they aren't really fans. They aren't. They're haters. They don't actually love the content. They don't actually talk about Star Wars. Like, they actually just hate. They're haters. It's not just Star Wars either. Marvel gets plenty of haters. DC gets plenty of haters. Everything gets haters. Everything. Like, the Oppenheimer movie is coming out next week, or it comes out tomorrow, or today even. The Oppenheimer movie comes out. It's got like a 97 on Rotten Tomatoes right now, but I can guarantee you, even if the movie's a masterpiece, there's going to be people hating all over it. There's always going to be haters, and this is actually very, very interesting. As of right now, the poll that states, do you want John Boyega back in Star Wars, sits at a 50% yes, 50% no. We are completely divided right now on whether or not we want Finn back. Now, I think this does have to play with the fact that the sequels are completely divisive, and clearly it splits the fan base right in half. But even with a character like Finn, which a lot of people want to see come back, still 50%. 50% of you don't want to see him come back. 50% of you do. It's very interesting. Shade says, I'd rather eat sawdust than see another movie about Rey. Well, yeah. The Rey movie is a very, very interesting thing. For one, I don't think it's going to happen. I think Kathleen Kennedy will be fired. I think Disney could get sold. I think there's so many obstacles that movie has to jump before it gets to the point where it's actually going to happen. I think we're a long, long way away from that Rey movie coming out. It hasn't even been written yet fully. So I think there's a lot of hope in the fandom that movie doesn't happen. But honestly, if done right, the Rey movie could be enjoyable. It could be a segue into what's past the sequel trilogy. Because, of course, we have to let the past die, as Kylo would say, and we have to get past the sequel trilogy. There is a world beyond the sequel trilogy that could involve Grogu, that could involve a new Jedi Order, could involve new threats, new Sith, new dark side Force users, new everything. There is endless possibility past the sequel trilogy, but we have to get past the sequel trilogy. Now, I don't believe that Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy directed Rey movie is the answer or the correct move or any of that, but I do think that we have to move on past the sequel trilogy to a time period where Grogu is involved, where maybe if Ahsoka's still alive, Ahsoka is involved, where characters that we know and love are involved, and we move past the characters that are very divisive, or we make them better. The Rey movie would be a good idea if it wasn't a Rey movie. If it was a post-sequel movie that involved Rey in a subtle way that made her character better, that involved Finn as a Jedi, that involved something about Grogu and a new Jedi Order and stuff like that. That's what we want. Shade says, Tommy Shelby is the main character. It'll be a success, yeah. I mean, Tommy Shelby is, of course, from Peaky Blinders. Cillian Murphy is the actor who plays Tommy Shelby and is going to be playing Oppenheimer in the Oppenheimer movie. He's a fantastic actor. He's great in everything he's in, from being Scarecrow in Batman to even his smaller roles that he has in other projects. But his majority of his acting career has been spent being Tommy Shelby in Peaky Blinders for 6 or 7 seasons. So yeah, he's a fantastic actor, and I do think that movie will be a big success, but I sadly am not going to see it until next Thursday, so I got a long, long time to go see it, but I am seeing it on the biggest screen I can possibly see. It's a 70 mm screen in IMAX. It's go big or go home, you know? Ed, what's up? Ed says, I think Star Wars needs to hire writers and directors that like Star Wars. Yeah. Ed, yeah, I could not agree with you more, Ed. I mean, Dave Filoni, look at him go. Look at him go. Rebels, Clone Wars, Tales of the Jedi, The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and now he gets a movie. That's a guy who likes Star Wars, knows Star Wars. Charmino Becino, maybe she likes Star Wars. I don't know, but maybe she should probably say something about Star Wars. Maybe once or twice. The fact that she actually likes the franchise, or at least knows it at all. She gives me no hope. First of all, she hasn't directed nearly anything. She doesn't know Star Wars at all. It's a disaster. It's a disaster. It is. But what are you gonna do? Swaggerlega says Rey film might happen because I have a bad feeling Iger wants this film. I hate to say that The Force Awakens grossed $2 billion. The Last Jedi grossed $1 billion. Disney's execs judge films by what they earned. That's true, but if you look at the sequel trilogy, like you said, The Force Awakens made $2 billion, then $1 billion, then just barely over $1 billion. So they did make a lot of money, but it did progressively go down. So the sequel trilogy did get worse as it went on. So, yeah, maybe. However, Bob Iger might not be there. That's the thing. If Disney gets sold to Apple, Bob Iger's gone. He's done. Bye-bye. No more Iger. Also, in 2 years, his contract is over. Even though he has an extension, he's through 2026, so 3 years. He's gone, and there will be a replacement. So we shall see. We shall see. Shades says, let Henry Cavill direct a Star Wars movie. Does Henry Cavill have any directing experience, Shades? I don't know about that. I don't know. But if he does, hey, let him do it. I know he's a big Star Wars fan. He's a big Warhammer fan too. Indeed. All right, let's read this article too as well, coming from the Hollywood Reporter themselves. John Boyega says he's open about returning to the Star Wars universe. So, John Boyega himself right there. So, John Boyega is opening up about the Star Wars universe and if he would be interested in returning to another movie. So, his comments come years after he previously spoke out about the treatment of black characters in Star Wars Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker, and accused Disney of capitalizing on their casting before pushing their characters to the side of the story. That was a few years ago, so we are subject. So they were the subject of that particular project. So we talked about what the quote was specifically. We already talked about all of this. But did they say anything new? No. That's just a quote. Never mind. Hollywood Reporter, you're useless. Never mind. Useless. He's a huge nerd. Henry Cavill, yeah, he's a huge nerd. He was done dirty. That was true. By Superman, you mean? Yeah, he was done big time dirty to be Superman. I mean, yeah, without a doubt. Here's my thing. One of my last points. Here we go. John Boyega, done completely dirty by the sequel trilogy. Here's the thing. If fans want him back, which it seems, I don't know. I don't really know. You guys tell me. I still haven't gotten really a common consensus on whether or not you guys want him back. Do you want John Boyega back? But the fans seem to kind of be on the fence on this whole thing. Of course, they don't even want the Rey movie, which is a disaster within itself. So Finn coming back might not be the best solution. And if it is, maybe it's a Disney Plus show. Maybe it's a Finn-specific project. Maybe it's a Finn movie instead of a Rey movie. Let me ask you guys, if at Star Wars Celebration it was announced that we would be getting a Finn movie where Finn would be a Jedi and Finn would be starting this new Jedi Order, would you like that more than Daisy Ridley's Rey? Would you like Finn being this new movie centered around him? Would you like that more than it being a Rey movie? What do we think? Swaggerlega says, I would love to see John Boyega or Disney pull a Kino Loy and portray a completely different character in the Mandoverse. A badass alien bounty hunter or some role well written. I don't think they would do that with those two actresses and actors specifically, just because of the fact that they were main characters in that sequel trilogy. Not to say that Snoke wasn't, but you didn't see Snoke's face. You could make him an alien bounty hunter or some sort of other role. True. But I don't think they would want to do that in the first place. I don't think Daisy or John, for that matter, would want to do that, but maybe. Ed says, I want to forget about the sequel trilogy. Let's explore a better part of the timeline. Well, yeah, there's plenty of timeline to be explored. The Dawn of the Jedi, the Old Republic, the High Republic. There's so much endless content when it comes to before the Skywalker saga. Even when it comes to after the Skywalker saga, you don't even have to touch those characters. You can go 100 years past and all those characters will be dead because they're all humans. So Rey would be gone, Finn would be gone, Poe would be gone. They'd all be gone. And then you could just move on. You could just move on from those characters forever. And maybe in years and years and years, come back to them. Maybe. Who knows? But I agree with Ed on this one. Let's forget about the sequel trilogy. Not to say that, like, make it non-canon, because a lot of people say that, but that's never going to happen. But let's just go to a different time period. I get exploring this Mandoverse era. It makes sense to further develop the sequel trilogy to make it better, but also to further develop the characters that were left out, like Ahsoka, like Sabine, like Boba Fett, like all those characters. And of course, introduce Grogu and Mando and have a future with Grogu. But the thing is, with the whole Mandoverse era and the era between the prequels and the original trilogy, with the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, the Andor show, Rebels, and even Jedi Survivor and Jedi Fallen Order, those time periods are going to come to a close. There's only like a 20-ish year, 19-ish year gap between the prequels and the originals, and then a 30-ish year gap between the originals and the sequels. So those are eventually going to run out of time. And then you're going to be trapped in, you're going to have to go to some other time period. Why not go now? Why not go to the Old Republic and give us some freaking fantastic content from the Old Republic with Dave Filoni? While you have him, while he's in his peak, while he's in his prime, just give him some boom, 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 Darth Revan, or Jedi Revan, and then turns to Darth Revan. Imagine all the Sith versus all the Jedi. All those legendary characters that we already know and love. And give it to Dave fucking Filoni to do whatever he wants. Just literally say, Dave, here, we're going to give you the entire Old Republic. Do whatever you like. Whatever. Just animated shows, live action shows, movies, whatever you want, do it. And just watch as they make billion after billion after billion. It'd be like Marvel over the last 10 years when they made $25 billion, whatever it was. That would be Star Wars. Think of all the freaking lightsabers they'd sell. Think of all the new merchandise they would sell. Old Republic, dude. It's not rocket science. I had to say it. I had to say it. Sadly, this will be a shorter stream today. I know. We're going to get back to normal streaming. I promise. Next week. Back to normal. Maybe the week after. Back to normal streaming. I promise. Very, very soon. These 4 p.m. ones, they have to cut short. I'm just... Yeah. Oh, big news for the channel, by the way, before we do all this other stuff. Big news for the channel. We are at, first of all, the last video, the Ezra video, is doing spectacular. You guys are the absolute best. Wait. Let me pull it up real quick. If you guys haven't watched this video yet, I would love if you guys went and check it out. Let me pull this up right here. Boom. Whoops. This Ezra Bridger video right here, 2,000 views. You guys are the absolute best. It's doing great, and it's still vibing and still going. And I mean, look at that thumbnail. Who doesn't want to watch that? And it's about, will Ezra be good or bad in the upcoming Ahsoka show? And it's quite frankly awesome. And yeah, go watch it. So yeah, but I wanted to also pull up the community tab here because we put up this poll. Is The Last Jedi the worst Star Wars movie? Now, first of all, tell me what you guys think in the chat, of course. But we talked about this early on. 120 votes, pretty solid within the first day, or 19 hours, pretty solid. 77% of you say yes. So the options were yes, no, and I can't believe John Boyega said that. So 3% kind of get taken out of the equation here. But 77% of you say yes, The Last Jedi was the last movie. And the 20% of you that say no were all in the comment section saying Rise of Skywalker is worse. Rise of Skywalker is worse. So I believe the 20% of you that said no pretty much think that the Rise of Skywalker was worse. So I think it's kind of a common consensus that the sequel trilogy is the worst trilogy. They have the worst movies of the franchise. And yeah, I mean, the numbers don't lie. So yeah. Oh, and in other news, we are this close, literally this close. We are 300 watch hours away. 300 watch hours away. It sounds like a lot, but it's inches. We're almost there to being able to have memberships, be able to have super chats, be able to do giveaways, be able to do all that fun stuff on the channel. And I can't freaking wait, dude. We're going to give away this pop figure just for fun because it's a Vader concept art, cool thing. But when the Ahsoka show rolls around, we're going to do freaking giveaways like crazy for the Ahsoka show and stuff like that. So yeah, that'll be a blast. Then we can do membership streams and stuff. We can talk about behind the scenes and all that fun stuff. Yeah. Okay. So Agalaka says, Mike, I agree. It's funny how a lot of cool ideas we conjure up in these live chats for fun make me more excited than anything coming up except for Ahsoka and Andor Season 2. Yeah, I know. I feel like we come up with so many great ideas in these live streams that if Disney was just watching and taking notes, then we'd be perfectly fine and everything would be awesome and we'd be so much more excited than we even are. Yeah. The whole sequel trilogy is the worst. Yeah. I mean, it is the worst trilogy, and I don't think anybody would argue with that. I mean, I'm sure there are some pretty big prequel haters out there, but they're just stupid. They're just stupid. All right, let's Oh wait, there was something. Oh yeah. First of all, Leia was trending on Twitter earlier, and now Anakin is trending on Twitter because somebody posted this. Wait, let's just click on it. Oh, nope, that's not what I wanted to do. There we go. Would it be possible for Leia to forgive Anakin for his sins as Vader? Now, this kind of gets a little bit more, like, explored in Legends. So there is a little bit of this in canon, like the Aftermath novels and stuff like that, and how Leia kind of gets denounced from the Senate because of her father being Darth Vader, obviously. But what about Leia forgiving Anakin? Do you think she would? Do you think she did? Do you think Leia ever forgave her father for what she did as Vader? Because in A New Hope, her first interaction with Vader, and of course she didn't know it was her father, but she thinks he's the worst, thinks he's the devil, thinks he's terrible. And obviously she's probably heard all the horror stories. What do we think? Think it's possible for Leia to forgive Anakin? What do we think? What do we think? What do we think? Ed says, this happens in the Thrawn trilogy by Timothy Zahn. The Gnagri assassins, no idea how to pronounce that, but they worked for Vader, and after his death, they protected Leia. That's true. That is true. But that doesn't... and again, the Thrawn trilogy is Legends, but yeah. Speaking of Leia, I heard some rumors she might make a surprise cameo for Ahsoka. That would be awesome. I mean, we wanted Leia to be in Mando Season 3, and I'm sure you guys remember us speculating all about that before before the show came out. We were like, Leia's definitely going to be in it. Coruscant's in the trailer. Coruscant's all over the place. She's on Coruscant. Leia's going to be in this show, and it never happened, and I was quite bummed about that. But yeah, why not bring in Leia? If you're going to have the first interaction between Ahsoka and Luke, like them first talking about his father and stuff like that, why not have Leia there as well? Because Leia did train with Luke for a little bit there. So what if Leia and Luke both met Ahsoka, the Padawan of their father, at the same time? Imagine how sick that scene would be. Imagine how sick that scene would be. Whew. Imagine. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. All right, there you go, Swagger. You've done it. I'm starting the rally now. We're getting Leia in the Ahsoka show. Yes. The Ahsoka show's only a month away, folks. What's today? The 20th. The 20th comes out August 23rd. We're only a month away. Just about a month away. That's exciting. That's exciting. But I do have to get on out of here. Sorry, guys. I do actually have to get on out of here, like, right now. But you guys are the absolute best for sticking around. That poll stayed at 50-50. That's crazy. But, yeah, I do have to get on out of here. You guys are the absolute best. Sorry for the shorter stream today. I promise we'll go extra long on Saturday. I promise. I think I can make that promise. I do. Probably a 6 p.m. stream on Saturday, I would guess, but I'm not too sure yet. May the force be with you also as well, Ed. So, yeah. I do have to get on out of here. You guys are the absolute best. Smash like on this video, hit subscribe, hit that bell, blah, 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 blah. We're so close to being able to do giveaways, do all that other fun stuff. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Smash like on this video, hit subscribe, hit that bell so you get notified every time I post a video, and my pretty face will show up in the recommended feed of yours. And may the force be with you. Always, 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 always. Where's that button? There it is. Okay. What a great stream. What a great show. You guys are the absolute best. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for popping in. Thank you for saying hi. Thank you for doing all the awesome, cool, fun stuff that you guys do, because you guys are the absolute best fan base in the entire world. Have a great rest of your evening. Have a great rest of your lives. And good night, everybody. Yes, 1 month until the Ahsoka show watch parties. Let's go.